All right, Joseph, it's good to see you again.
Hey man, great seeing you.
How's work been lately?
It's been good. It's been busy, but yeah, I'm blessed. It's going
That's
well.
a positive thing. Yeah, busy is
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
Um, what have you been working on lately that you can talk about with that doesn't have an NDA?
Uh, I was just in Budapest. I was in Budapest with Aaron Eckhart, Olga Karolinko, the amazing Jesse V. Johnson, and the film is Chief of Station. It's a cool spy thriller that should be out later this year. So we shot that in Hungary, and I was there for a couple of months. It's a fantastic movie, fantastic script, and I'm just very excited for everyone to get to see that. You know, uh, also have a new series coming up. Can't go into too much details about it, but it's going to be something interesting. I will. Okay, I'm trying to think. Can I say the title? Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna say the title. Uh, uh, Route 187 is the title of,
Okay.
of the project, and I'll just leave it at that because they've had that out there. So, but that's the name of the project. That's a TV pilot. So, uh,
Okay.
and a few
Route
other films.
187.
Yeah, Route 187. Yeah,
Is
and
that a horror film or
no,
like action?
no, it's actually it's kind of like a cross between uh Murder She Wrote. No, not Murder She Wrote. How to Get Away with Murder. Is that kind of
How to get
vibe?
away with it? Ah, got you.
It has that kind of element. Murder She Wrote. I would all the way back to Under Lansbury.
Yeah, when you first said that, I was like,
Yeah, that was a
okay.
time. That, that was a time capsule trip right there. Yeah. So yeah, have
Yeah.
that, and then uh, there's a horror film, Chastise, that's going to be out this summer, and a film with I had done with Jean-Claude Van Damme, uh, entitled The Eagle Path, or the title of the name may change, but yeah, it's a film I've done with JCBD. So
That's really cool. It seems like you're working with a lot of big names here in that current John
yes,
Claude.
yeah,
That's
old
awesome.
Karolinko. Yeah, I've been lucky, so I'm just thankful to be on this ride.
You feel like you've learned anything new from these projects that you didn't have in your arsenal before?
Yeah, it's just understanding how to let a character breathe. Sometimes we as actors uh, we feel the need to just rush through. We never give it time to marinate. And watching Aaron in particular, uh, he allows that to occur. I remember working with Malkovich and Michael Rooker from White Elephant. They too are masters at letting moments, like sometimes in conversations, like people get uncomfortable with dead silence, right? Dead
Right.
silence can be very uncomfortable for a lot of actors. And what I found working with some of the greats is, again, like Aaron Eckhart, is that, you have those moments where there's no rush. There's no rush. You just let it marinate, and that has helped me, greatly. I picked that up again from Malkovich and Rooker. Was able to continue it with Eckhart and Karolinko. Uh, so it's just a blessing to know that silence isn't a bad thing. It's okay to take a moment and just let the room breathe.
Yeah, that's very interesting perspective, and I think it's pretty cool. I was looking up some stuff about you that we didn't talk about last time, and I had seen that in your history you started as a teacher. You were initially a teacher before you became an actor.
Yes, yes. I was a elementary school teacher. It's crazy.
First grade, I think I read, right?
It's elementary school teacher, and now a lot of my students they've gone on to be in the business. Ironically, a lot of them are out there doing some amazing things. So I'm just very proud of them, and they inspired me. So it's because when you have these young minds, you want to lead by an example. And so I was always very truthful about what my first love was. So it wasn't like the school that I taught at was an art school. It wasn't at all. It was purely academics, but I always made it very clear that art and entertainment was my first love. And so to have my students now go on, and they all are literally doing some amazing stuff. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Sinquar Walls, who was starring in the new White Man Can't Jump that's coming out right now, and there's a horror film that he's doing this summer that's coming out with Tim Story that he's starring in as well in that. He was just at the NBA All-Star game, playing at the celebrity games. I'm watching Sinquar do that. I have another student of mine who is a showrunner for a new series. She actually worked on as a writer on How to Get Away with Murder and Scandal and things like that, And so now she's doing her own show. And then there's Damon Wayans Jr., who I had in my class. There's Mario Van Peebles' kids, had them as students. Comedian James Davis, all of them extremely successful doing their thing. So it's cool.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's cool to cheer them on and still have them. I think what's interesting is they still refer to me as Mr. Cannon, which is kind of crazy, right? Because, here they are, they're grown with their own families, and yet they still, hit me back up and hey, Mr. Cannon, how you doing? I just kind of laugh. I guess they feel uncomfortable saying Joseph, and I get that, it's out of respect, and I appreciate it. But it's very endearing to know that I saw them when they were just this wet ball of clay.
Yeah.
And whether or not I had any influence on that, it's just great to see them out doing their thing and doing it to the highest level. So I'm extremely proud. And
I mean, there's some big names in there for sure, but I'm curious if you would be comfortable enough working with any of them on a project. Like, do you think it would take you out of the part at all?
Not at all. If anything, I would be so excited. I'm actually in the back of my mind, because there's at least 6 to 9 students. I've already thought of a project that I would love to do that would be nothing but all of my students that were once in my class. And, because I have writers and directors and actors and actresses, I think that would be the coolest thing to do a piece and then have the rest of the world discover, those who wouldn't know already, that we were all teacher, student at some point in time. I think that would be great for marketing. It'd be a great little tidbit, little trivia for anyone who's coming to see the movie, and then just to see them all excel in their own lane, along with Mr. Cannon. So I think that to me is something that I've thought about. I've talked to a few of them about. So it's going to happen.
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool, man. Yeah. Did you teach a lot of the names that you had said were African American? Did you teach at an all-black school?
Well, I've taught in a couple of different schools. Some were mixed, some were all white, some were all black. But these particular students came from Escuela de Montessori, and there was a Montessori school out in Los Angeles that I had the privilege of working. So no, even at Escuela, it was a mixture of all different ethnicities.
That's cool. Yeah, the reason I asked is because my mom teaches in an all-black school, so I thought maybe with the names that you were dropping, that
it was the one. The good thing about it was the only at the time African American run Montessori school. And so we had a lot of the parents from different industries. I had Willie Galt, who played basketball, football, Reggie Theus, his kids, you know. So it's like, so we had a lot of the top athletes and entertainers in businesses as well that sent their kids to this prestigious, majority African American private school. Yes.
Did you do any acting while you were teaching?
Oh, I was sneaking off all the time. I was sneaking off all the time, going to try to get projects, and the great thing about the owner of the school, she was aware of everything and encouraged me to. I remember I shot like Mike, and I was still teaching there, and I even brought some of my students to the filming so they could meet Bow Wow and Morris Chestnut, things of that. So yeah, even when I was still teaching, I would still, when I had something huge, I would take time off, and I would do it without pay. And I would pay for my substitute teacher to come in, who was already my assistant, so she knew the students. So the kids didn't miss a beat. I took care of her salary, as well as I didn't accept a salary while I was gone. So it benefited everyone. It benefited the school. The kids continue to have their consistency in the curriculum, and I was able to go off and you know, do the things that I really love to do.
So when you say you really love to do them, what was your spark of inspiration to move into the movie industry?
You know, I've always had a crazy imagination. You know, when I was younger, I had a speech impediment. I stuttered horribly. So writing was my main thing that I did initially. And in the process of writing, I remember speaking to yet another parent, Charles Burnett, who is a highly acclaimed film director. And I mentioned to him, asked him, did he have any suggestions for a young writer trying to get into the business? And he just basically said, look, put as many irons in the fire as possible. He goes, just don't write. He goes, act, direct, produce, do whatever you can to get your foot through the door. And then I started thinking about what he said. And I thought, acting, I don't know. You know, I'll give it a shot, you know. And so it's kind of interesting. I was telling someone the other day, because of a film that came out after our last interview, Paul's Promise.
I was going to ask about that next, actually.
I had won so many different awards for that, Best Supporting Actor. Matter of fact, we just won another award today for the Plugged In Awards, Best Movie. And I won numerous awards for Best Supporting Actor. And I jokingly say that acting is actually the weakest thing in my arsenal. So process that for a moment. And, you know, as a writer and a director, acting is the weakest thing that I do. And I always quote Jack Nicholson from the original Batman, when he played the Penguin, and he said, wait till they get a load of me. Well, that's the way I feel. If you love my acting, you really ain't seen what Joseph Cannon can do. And yeah, I'm excited about.
So how did you overcome the speech impediment? I know you said you were writing. Was it?
Writing, it was teaching. You know, it's interesting. I'm there in front of the kids, obviously in front of the classroom. And so just something about being in front of people. And I kind of stumbled on it in college. I remember I was missing out on an exam or an assignment. And, you know, I needed it. I played basketball. It was up in North Dakota where I did my undergraduate studies. And I played basketball and ran track, and I needed to pass this class to stay eligible. But I forgot to do this assignment. And the teacher said one day, she goes, okay, Mr. Cannon, I can give you the grade you need, but you need to now give me the report orally. You tell a kid who was stuttering to stand up in front of a class and give an oral report. And I remember there was a woman sitting in the front row. She was a parent who came back to school to get a degree. So she had that motherly instinct. So she's sitting right there. And I immediately caught her eye. And she had that maternal look that basically was saying, come on, baby, you can do this. And if you remember the film, if you've seen the film Shakespeare in Love, where the actor comes out on stage and he's just stuttering and he's struggling hard to get the words out. And then there's a moment of clarity where everything just starts to flow. And while he's speaking, just during that moment, everything flowed. And then when he finished, he went back to stuttering again. That was me. And I remember sitting down thinking, wow, I can't believe I got through that. And I put two and two together and I realized there was something about being in front of an audience, being in front of a camera, being in front of telling a story that felt comfortable. You know, Mel Tillis, the country singer, he stuttered horribly. James Earl Jones.
Really?
The amazing James Earl Jones. That is why he enunciates the way that he does, because that was part of his training to get over his stuttering, was to over enunciate. So that's why
I didn't know that about him.
Yeah, look that up. James Earl Jones and Mel Tillis. Those were the two people I followed. You know, Mel Tillis was stuttering and he'd get to the microphone and he would sing like, you know, like a bird. And so then when I realized that there was these entertainers who were able to get over, they each found what worked for them. And for me, it was being in front. I'm very comfortable in front of people, which is kind of weird. You would think the opposite, but there's something about being in front of an audience, being in front of a camera, knowing that millions of people are going to see something that I'm doing, that it just slows everything down. It goes back to letting it breathe.
Yeah, well, exactly. Letting it breathe, like Eckhart.
Yeah.
So, Paul's Promise. Let's talk a little bit about your current work. You said Paul's Promise has been winning awards left and right.
Yes.
What can you remind the audience? I know we talked about it in the past before it came out, but now that the movie's out, can you kind of give a little synopsis about what the movie's about and what your part in the movie is?
Absolutely. The film Paul's Promise, it's a true story based on a gentleman named Paul Hoderfield Sr. It's set in 1957. Well, our film is set in 67, but the actual story occurs in 1957. And it takes place during the Little Rock Nine. That's when they were they were trying to integrate the public schools down in Central Arkansas, in Little Rock, Arkansas, at Central High School, and where the 9 Black students were ushered in, and the whole country was aware of what was taking place at this time. And while this was taking place not too far from where the 9 students were being ushered into the schools with support from the authorities, the National Guards, 2 gentlemen who grew up together, Paul Hoderfield Sr. and Jimmy Lipkin, the character I played, they crossed paths. They both were there at this moment at the same time, but for different reasons. Jimmy's character was there, my character, who I played, Jimmy Lipkin, he was there to support the 9 Black students who were going to help integrate this once all-white public school. Paul Hoderfield Sr. was a fireman. He was there with his fireman friends. They were there with water hoses and things like that to do what people did with water hoses back in 1957. Yeah. You know, it wasn't to always put out fires. You know, it was used for other various things.
Nefarious purposes.
So they recognize one another. And Jimmy walks up to him and goes, wait a minute, is that my childhood friend that they grew up together? Boxing and everything else and being very playful. And Jimmy would give him rides back and forth to the city because Paul Hoderfield became a Golden Glove champion and boxer. And so Jimmy recognizes him, thinking Paul is there for the same reason that he is, because him and Paul were cool when they were kids. He
Yeah.
approaches him, and Paul, realizing that his fireman friends are watching this, pretended that he didn't know who I was. He put his hand in his pocket, and his friends asked him, "So, Paul, do you know this man?" He goes, "I don't know him, and he doesn't know me." And so the whole story centers about this man who was very racist. Not necessarily he was racist, but the climate of the country and where he was, the people around him were. So it was easier for him to do what was, I like to say, he did what was acceptable instead of doing what was right. You know, there was a challenge. It was more comfortable to just give in to what everyone else was doing than doing the right thing. Paul's mother, played by the amazing Linda Pearl, from Happy Days. She played Fonzie's girlfriend, eventually his wife in Happy Days when he was the Fonz. And she was in Matlock as well. Linda Pearl should have been nominated for an Academy Award. She was so phenomenal as his mother, his praying mother, who just prayed over and over again that hopefully her son would find his way. Because not only was he, had some of these racist tendencies that he picked up from the people he was around, which wasn't anything that she supported. He was also drinking a lot, and his language. He just wasn't the son that she knew she had. And so she's facing some illness, and she's just praying and hoping that he can find his way to God before she passes on. And he makes a promise, thus the title, Paul's Promise. He makes a promise that one day he will go to church and turn his life around. Now, no one really believed it. We thought this was just something that he would just say just to appease his mom. And initially it was. But between the relationship that he had with his mom and his relationship that he had with my character, Jimmy Lipkin, you saw that the prayer from both ends started to have an effect on this man. Dean Cain, Superman, he's in this film. He plays the fire captain. He was one of the good guys in the film. Though he was captain of this fire department, Dean Cain's character wasn't racist at all. He understood the importance of integration and things of that sort. And so he was really there encouraging, hoping Paul would just become a better man. And the interesting thing about this film, especially when you're doing a film that's based on someone's life, is that you realize the actual family will watch this someday. So the pressure of wanting to make sure that you do justice to Jimmy's character, and that Ryan O'Quinn, the lead actor who played Paul Hoderfield in the movie, that he did justice. So he and I, we bonded. And what made it difficult is that Ryan O'Quinn and myself are very close friends. We became very close friends before the movie and after the movie and even during the movie. But the challenge was our characters were so distant within the movie. It was such an uncomfortable feeling that once they said cut to a scene, we couldn't just hang out and laugh and joke because of the emotions that we had to feel.
Yeah, and the tension.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to get hosed in the movie, though, did you?
No.
Okay.
No. Didn't get to that extreme.
Okay.
Which I would have loved if that was, the way the script went. I would have, done it easily. But no, that wasn't the direction our film went. Our film was more so about him finding his heart changing and him becoming a better man. It was about Paul finding redemption. When he found it before his mother passed on, he got together with me, and the film will be out soon for people to screen it. on streaming and DVDs and things like that. It may even come back to the theater. But it was a phenomenal project to be a part of. Something that still resonates with me. And as I said earlier, ironically, just found out 20 minutes ago that it just won another Best Picture award today. So it's been cleaning up. I've been doing well. Matter of fact, that little wing thing over my shoulder right there, that's one of the awards.
Oh, nice.
One of the many awards I received for Best Supporting Actor, which is, yeah, a wonderful honor. And but the interesting thing about it is I actually went in for this film as a writer, not an actor. I went in as a writer. And so I was referred to them by the person who does the script coverage. They had finished the script, but they felt that they were missing a Black voice for this main Black character. And so they put the word out to find who they felt in Hollywood was one of the top Black writers that could come in to speak to the Black voice of Jimmy Lipkin. I was referred. I went in to do this 15-minute meeting because I was getting ready to go off to do Hell Hath No Fury with Jesse Johnson. I was getting ready to take off to go to Europe to go film that. Yeah. When I walk in, I'm clean shaven, my hair is high and tight, so I look nothing like the 50-something-year-old man that I ended up playing. And this is for the new TV series, by the way. That's why that's what this look is about. So I'm over there, I'm filming with Jesse, and I get a phone call saying that they want to talk to you about the possibility of starring in this film, co-starring in this film. And I was like, wait, no, that must be a mistake, because all we talked about was the script. And I just gave my opinion on how I saw this Jimmy Lipkin character. And I remember I spoke to my mom and I said, Mom, I think they made a mistake. You know, my agent says that they're offering me now the lead role for this. And my mom said, son, God don't make mistakes. And so I think about that, even now when I'm continuing winning these awards for a role that I wasn't even supposed to play. So, you know.
Well, it worked out well. So what was it like representing a generation that was so far before you, but you've learned about, you know, throughout your lifetime? What was it like representing your race at that time?
It was, I embodied my grandfather. My grandfather was, and has been and will always be a very strong influence in my life. So a lot of Jimmy's mannerisms and thoughts and experiences I kind of pulled from my grandfather. What was helpful was meeting Paul Hodefield Jr., the son of the gentleman that we're doing his story about. And he shared.
So you met the actual person, not
yes.
an actor. Okay.
I met the actual family of Paul Hodefield. And so his son, because Paul Hodefield has passed on, his son gave us so much information about Jimmy and how Jimmy and his dad were, you know, they were close and how their relationship was. And so even before the film came out, the entire cast and crew, we went to Little Rock, Arkansas, and every year they have a fish fry for the people in the neighborhood and the community. And this particular church, Friendly Chapel is the name of the church down in North Little Rock, Arkansas. They have fed over close to 4 million people since 1957. You know, in this little church, in this little neighborhood, and they have this fish fry every year, and they constantly feed the homeless and just, they're feeding people in many different ways. Spiritually, you know, they're nurturing, and to be around them and watch the people come up who knew Jimmy Lipkin, who knew his family, and they would shake my hand and tell me stories of Jimmy. And thanking me for playing the character, but that was pressure. I've never felt more pressure than I did on premiere night when we were sitting there in the theater in North Little Rock, Arkansas, knowing that the family of these people are sitting in here watching us tell their grandfather, their uncle, their brother, their dad's story. And, Ryan O'Quinn, who played Paul Hoderfield, he set up with the family. I wasn't that brave. I got real low, but we were texting one another back and forth. And I was like, so how's it going? How's it going? And he's texting me back. He goes, I hear a lot of sniffling. There's a lot of crying. So I guess that's a good thing. So we're going back and forth, not knowing what the reaction was. But again, we knew the pressure, or not, I wouldn't say pressure. We knew the responsibility, as you asked, playing a character from that period, how to know that this is before Dr. King, in a sense. This
60 years ago.
Yes. So you're sitting there and you're playing these characters and you're thinking about what this man had gone through and the relationship between him and Paul Hoderfield and how they were able to find love. And they had love as children. They grew up together and they were good friends as children. But somewhere along the way, society steps in. Dean Cain did an interview promoting the film, and he talked about how that he said that children aren't born racist. They're not born racist. We're not born to hate another group. That's a learned behavior. That's something that someone instilled in us. And I took that with me prior to filming, during filming, and after filming. I just understood that the reaction that I was getting from the people that hated my character and hated the person who Jimmy was, that was something that was taught to me. So it was interesting because my character never wavered.
Yeah.
Which is
well, you were there for the kids. So with you bringing up children, were all of the children actors that played the parts of like those 9 children, were they already versed and taught about the past and what the race had to deal with in the past? Or is that something you guys did on set?
Well, what we did was we took some dramatic license in the telling of the story. Even though it was set in 57 during the Little Rock Nine, for creative licenses and getting certain rights, we didn't focus on the 9 students. We focused on the relationship of Jimmy and Paul.
Yeah.
And so the young men that played are younger versions of ourselves. That's where they were pretty much educated on it. And we saw how they had to deal with it. So it was interesting watching these young kids, these young actors, especially those who had to play the young racist actors, having to say and do these things to the one Black young character who played a younger me, so that was kind of tough to watch them have to do that, because that wasn't their nature. But here they are, young actors. So now they have to play the role of young kids that were taught to have a problem with this other young kid who happened to look nothing like them. So.
Yeah. Did you have any of the white actors, were they uncomfortable, or did they talk to you off of camera?
Taylor Cole, he played probably the most vile character in the film. And he struggled because Taylor Cole has the heart of an angel. That's my guy. He has the heart of an angel. And it's I remember so clearly how he was struggling because he had to say some things, that would never come out of his mouth.
Right.
And he had to behave in a way that wasn't him. And I remember there was a moment where I could tell he was struggling. And we were looking at each other, but we were standing in a very confrontational situation.
Yeah.
and this was during a break in the action. And I could see in his eyes that he felt uncomfortable. And I remember I just broke character for one moment to say, hey, this is not us. And you have to do what you have to do to bring this guy alive. So just remember that. This is not Joseph and Taylor. You know, this is your character, this is my character. So for these few minutes that we're about to do this, we need you to do this. And he looked, he took a deep breath, and I could see the tears in both of our eyes, in his eyes and in mine, just swelling up. And we kind of looked at one another. And then Taylor, boy, that dude, he went to work. And I'm very, very proud of him. His name is Taylor Cole.
That's probably something he's going to take with him onto future roles as well.
Yeah,
So.
he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal, and so very proud of him because I know how challenging it is to play something that is so removed from who you are. As I said before, he has a heart of gold, and to play a character that is despicable like this, and to be convincing at it, you know, it was nothing short of a Tour de France performance, in my opinion.
I mean, the movie's winning awards for a reason. So,
Yes.
To switch from Paul's Promise, I know you were working on a film called White Elephant.
Yes.
When we spoke last, is that something that's completed now?
Yes, White Elephant is on Hulu now. It was in the theaters. It's on Hulu, and it's one of Bruce Willis's last films prior to the
Alzheimer's
of his illness. Yes. So, and that's with Bruce Willis, John Malkovich, Michael Rooker, Olga Kurylenko, and Joseph Cannon. Yeah. Yeah. So that's you can find that now on Hulu. That's on Hulu right now. That's on Hulu as well as Hell Hath No Fury. So you can have a double Joseph feature if you want.
Oh, that's on Hulu now too?
Yes. Yes. Hell Hath No Fury and
that's awesome.
White Elephant, both directed by the phenomenal Jesse B. Johnson.
Nice. I didn't know Jesse directed White Elephant as well.
Yeah.
That's cool. Are there any actors? Well, I already know how that question is going to end. Is there anyone specific from your past in the business that you feel like you could learn more from and would like to do another project with to kind of elevate your performances?
Yes, I've been very blessed to, work with some extremely phenomenal artists. Each of them I've been able to take something from, whether it's Ryan O'Quinn from Paul's Promise, whether it's Olga Kurylenko, Aaron Eckhart, Malkovich, Rooker.
Willis.
I've been fortunate enough to be opposite some giants in the industry that have all been willing. Scott Adkins, Louis Mandylor.
Right, yeah. That was Hell Hath No Fury, I believe, right?
Louis especially, who is willing to share with me any nuggets of knowledge to help me become a better artist, and I think that's the thing, and that's what I try to do in return now. I try giving back, to the younger artists that are coming up, that are on the set. Jermaine Jaycox, who I did a project with. I try to share whatever nugget of knowledge that I have,
Yeah, pay it forward.
Yeah, just pay it forward, just try to pay it forward. So it's a blessing, I'll continue to do that. I think that's part of my reward is to take the education that was bestowed upon me and then turn around and try to share it with all the talented people that I know that's out there that may just need a word of encouragement. They have the skill set,
Is there anybody Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh, no, I'm done. Go ahead.
Is there anybody that you've worked with or haven't worked with, either older or younger, that you would like really like to do a project with?
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern. She won an Academy Award a couple of years ago. She's the daughter of Bruce Dern. I just think she's a phenomenal actress. Her mom was an actress as well. Just extremely talented and gifted. She's someone I would love to work with. It's interesting, but most of the actors I would love to work with are actresses. Because there's something, actresses' performances, I find, are very internal. So a lot of their power and their strength comes from less. And they're able to bring out so much more. The male actors, you get the bravado and all the, you can get that. But there's something about watching an actress at the top of her craft that I think it's the most magnificent thing I've ever seen in my life. Because they have to convey things in a manner in which they just can't do, like Frances McDormand. She conveys, one second. She's able to convey so much in such a small stature. And I think that right there is true power. When Kate Winslet, the list goes on and on, Viola Davis. And
yeah.
So
Angela Bassett was incredible in Black Panther 2. She was a force. I'm glad she got an award for that because
and what's great about that was initially when she was told that they were going to, spoiler alert, do what they did to her character. She at first wasn't on board with it. But then speaking to Ryan Coogler and everyone else on the production team, she kind of understood why that was necessary. And she brought, obviously, a performance that hopefully this time by next Sunday, she will have a Best Supporting Actress Award for. So yeah.
I think she already won. I think she already won it.
No, that was a Golden Globe. The Oscars is this upcoming Sunday. The
Oscars is Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. I misunderstood.
And the beauty of watching actresses is the fact that their performances has to come from here. It's right in their eyes. And they have a way of doing things that, a male can just walk in. John Wayne was 6'5", he was the dude. John Wayne walked in, you knew he was the good guy and he was going to beat everybody's ass in the room.
Right.
But when you have, again, a Frances McDormand, Angela Bassett, Viola Davis, you watch them and you're like, wow, this is crazy. This is crazy. So, yeah. And, there's a whole new generation of actresses that's like that. Bianca Laverne Jones, who I had the pleasure of playing my wife in Paul's Promise. She has that same sort of impact when she commands the screen. So, yeah.
Is that something that you think you learned by working with actresses, or was that something you always felt watching movies when you were younger?
I think that's something I learned. It's definitely something I learned because I didn't get it at first. And then when you start watching and you realize that, again, for a guy, you can dress him up a certain way, put him in the right clothing. Liam Neeson looks like he can beat everybody's ass. And
right.
You know, he's like 112, I think. You know, he's like, you know, he's older, right? But he still looks like, because just the way they dress him up and put him in his stuff.
Yeah.
But there's something about when an actress who doesn't have that stature, but yet she's still supposed to convey. Kate Blanchett. Oh my God. That's a Meryl Streep. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about how Meryl Streep is the GOAT. She's the GOAT.
Yeah.
There's no question she's the greatest of all time with her performances, because she's such a chameleon. She can bring so much out. And I think watching that I actually get most of my training and my appreciation for the craft from watching actresses. Because again, they have to do it in a more subtle fashion.
Right.
They're not relying on their physicality.
Okay. I don't want to keep you all day long, but I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to plug anything that we might have missed.
Let me see here. We have Chief of Station that should be coming out real soon. The new TV pilot. Route 187.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's already been mentioned out there in the press. So it's not like I'm saying anything that hasn't
You're
been.
not going to get in trouble.
I shouldn't get in trouble on that, but you know, I haven't said too much more about it other than the title. Chastise is coming out. Project with John Claude, the Eagle Path. Let me see what else.
What's the one with Aaron Eckhart again?
Oh, Chief of Station.
Oh, that's that one. Okay.
Yeah, Chief of Station. Yeah, that's the one. Aaron Eckhart and Olga Karolinko, Alex Pettifer, Chris Petrovsky. Yeah. So from Madam Secretary.
I love how you're always giving shout outs to all the people you work with.
You know, because it's like, you know, they are important to my knowledge of the craft, you know,
Yeah.
and I just want them to always know how much I appreciate just sitting in the room. They may not realize it, you know, because a lot of times I sit back quietly and I don't say anything. I just sit and be like a sponge and just soak it up. But,
Right.
you know, I wouldn't be the artist that I am if it wasn't for those who came before me and those who I currently work with that share their knowledge with me. So I'm extremely blessed, and I just like to say thank you to them, and thank you to you for always being supportive to artists, actors, directors, producers. You know, just beyond the projects that I'm doing. I see how you bring great attention to, you know, the projects of others, and I take my hat off. You do a fantastic job. You're very fair. You're very thorough, and again, I really appreciate you taking this opportunity to interview me. And hey,
yeah, no, brother, I appreciate you, and I think we covered a lot of Black history, so that's awesome.
Thank you so much, man. And you know, just, you know, I love when you reached out and you talked about, and even today you mentioned that, you know, Black history not just in February, it's year round. And
yeah,
I want to get these stories correct, and I definitely admire that from you. So thank you again.
of course, and thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me, especially after we had a couple.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's all good. I've taken more than a couple retakes on things, so
yeah,
it happens, you know. But no, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
No, you too. Thank you, brother.
Okay.